Well, thanks you all for being here. I am really excited to be with my friend Harold and talk about digital experience for native mobile. We are going to keep this is going to be kind of a fireside chat format, and so we're going to have some prepared questions that we're going to talk through, and then we're going to leave time for questions at the end. So as we're talking, and it's kind of nice, we have a smaller group. So as you all are listening, we can make this definitely, hopefully, have some good conversation at the end as well. Like Eric said, my name is Gardner. I am an Enterprise Success Director here at FullStory, which means I get to work with people like Harold, which is an awesome part of my job. So that's what, at the end of the day, right, we're thinking about how do we take digital experience, how do we work with it within the native mobile environment to get real business results? Native mobile is a different beast, right? We have different things going on for native mobile than we do for web, and that's really what we're going to explore today. So, to start off, Harold, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, I just want to say, greatly appreciate being here, you having me here today. Actually, it's a really great conference. I've got to, so far, meet a lot of great people, multitude of great companies here. But in terms of me, just a brief introduction. My name is Harold Merrill. I'm the Director of Engineering for Mobile Architecture for Bees. For those that don't know, Bees is actually the e-commerce global platform for AbInbev. Let's see, I've been with Bees for, it's going to be coming up on 3 years. Actually, my anniversary is next month, so looking forward to it. Curious if I'll get a gift. Not quite sure what kind of gift it'll be. But it's actually been a worthwhile, I guess you could say, tenure at Bees. I've seen it actually grow to a much smaller company and really spin up to the business that it is today with well over 1,000 employees. So it's been a fantastic journey, and I've really enjoyed it. In terms of I guess how I grew into this role, I've been doing mobile development for well over 10 years. I originally started as a PHP developer, just a back-end developer, and like most developers, you hit that point when you're dealing with technology where you want to do something different, and so I transitioned into mobile, and I kind of loved it ever since. I've worked for a couple of big-name companies, Synchrony Financial, Punchkick Interactive. Also worked on a multitude of projects for a lot of Fortune 100 companies, AT&T, Marriott, Newsy. So yeah, it's been quite a journey that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then you talked about Bees a little bit, but tell us more about the Bees application, what it does for its customers.
Mm-hmm. So Bees is really our B2B e-commerce platform that we roll out to mid-size to small retailers across the globe. With traditional B2B, sales platform, what we're doing is we're really just doing a digital transformation on that model, where we're putting more power into the hands of those retail owners so that they can basically have the same simplicity of ordering an experience that we come to expect as consumers. And so funneling through our Bees customer app, they'll be able to place their orders very simply, but then also tracking orders, tracking delivery. Also, we provide full customer support, as well as tracking payments, as well as dealing with any issues that the customer has. Again, these are things that are pretty commonplace in the consumer market, but most retailers are still stuck in the traditional sales model.
Yeah, and I think it's really transformed how these businesses are able to get what they need on the shelves. And I think it's just seeing, the innovation in the Bees app over the couple of years that we've worked together, it's been really exciting to see.
Yeah, and then one additional part to this is we are a SaaS platform as well. So I guess you could say as a manufacturer or distributor, we do offer the full gamut of services where, again, you will do the order handling, order taking, but then we also offer the full logistics and distribution, as well as integrating into their payment systems, ERP. So it's a full suite that we offer a lot of companies across the globe.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. You mentioned that you've had a long history in mobile development and thinking about mobile apps. How is mobile different? What are the challenges in working in native mobile? Apart from bees, apart from FullStory, what makes it a challenging environment?
Yeah, well, most I guess if you talk to any like mobile dev or any product person, like everyone has their own set of challenges with mobile. For me, it's always been the segmentation. It's like the blessing and the curse for mobile. It's the double-edged sword. On one hand, the segmentation is great. You can reach a large user base, but then you have to maintain that consistency across all the multitude of devices that you have to support. A lot of times that proves to be a challenge. It's gotten a lot better, I'd say, within the last couple of years, but in the early days, it was really difficult, especially when you're engaging a team. A lot of times, if you're in the US, everything was just insanely skewed iOS only, which as an Android dev, it would drive me crazy. But now it's kind of even kill, where more so you get solid user experience designs for both platforms. But then you have the other, I guess you could say, hang up just in terms of resources. Just because mobile in particular, mobile native, requires you to really hire two sets of resources, whereas say if you're looking at a front end or a web developer, that's just one resource. But on mobile, you'll need an expert in iOS, expert in Android. Occasionally, you'll find devs that are great at both, but even if you do that, a lot of times you'll have to skew that resource or that person to one platform so you have better support for either Android or iOS. So it usually presents a hiring challenge, especially since the pandemic. It seems there's a scarcity of mobile devs out there right now.
Yeah, definitely. The Bees team started working with FullStory about 2 years ago. So we have 2 years of working together and learnings under our belt, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Before we get into the positive traction that we've been able to make, what were some of the blind spots in terms of digital experience, in terms of your customers' interaction? What weren't you able to see 2 years ago that were particular pain points for you?
So I'll actually start at the beginning. One of the things that led us to FullStory was really we were trying to just get a better understanding and just better observability around the performance of our mobile app, in particular around bugs and crashes. We really wanted to focus heavy on just improving quality. And so being able to see that user experience and what the actual user was doing leading up to a particular crash, that was something we were after, something we really didn't see before. Of course, with traditional behavioral analytics, you can track those events, but it's predefined, meaning if there's a use case that you haven't accounted for, you're not going to see it in those tools. And so being able to kind of see the gaps in between those events that we've predefined, that's what we were really after, and that was the beneficial part.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, I think closing those gaps has been a big part of what we've seen a lot over the past couple of years. Can you highlight what are the insights that have been most meaningful to you, and what are the things that you've actually been able to take from FullStory and use to make better decisions?
Well, I got to think about the decision thing, but no, it's like, I actually have two examples that really come to mind. Recently, we had this, basically it was a production issue, and I think most of you will relate to this. So there's a production issue, it's only happening to a subset of users, it's intermittent, and the team can't reproduce it. So it's like the traditional needle in a haystack. You don't have anything to go off of. The stack trace leads nowhere. There's no real information to go off of. So you're grasping at straws. You're trying different things. Because we have or had FullStory in place, and we actually have tight integration between New Relic, which is one of the tools that we leverage for observability, especially for our microservices, and then having also a tie into Segment, which is all of our custom analytics that we're tracking. We were able to drill down, find a subset of users that were experiencing this problem. And through FullStory, we were able to find out what the real problem was. So this error was presenting itself as a DNS failure, which some of you may know this, or for any that don't, typically a DNS failure is something that'll happen at the ISP level, meaning, you need to talk to your internet provider. We don't know what's happening, but but we couldn't leave it there. So we had to do the research and find out, why is this happening now? And what we discovered through the investigation and FullStory letting us pull those group of customers that were having that issue, the bug itself, it would rise and fall, and they would never experience it again. And so after we were able to dig a little bit deeper, we found out that we had just a bug like in our registration flow where there was a delay in the account onboarding happening and the user actually accessing their account. And so it created this small window where one of our services were failing, and it just presented itself as a domain error. And then with that, we were able to resolve that issue, but it's something that probably would have taken us like a few weeks to really discover if we didn't have FullStory in place.
Yeah, I think that clarity and efficiency, it was really awesome to see. I think it was pretty early on in your usage of FullStory as well.
Yep, exactly. And our dev team has been leveraging FullStory quite a bit. And so the second example, actually this was more so on our product team. So, we got a new product feature that's going out. It's going to exist on the homepage. Particularly, it was just a new product category that was real important we wanted to highlight. And so where do we place it? Because we have a multitude of things on our homepage already. And so leveraging FullStory, we were able to identify the most, I guess you could say, user click-worthy section within our homepage. Traditionally, you're like, oh, just put it at the top. Well, actually, what we found out, it was more towards the middle of our home screen where 60% of our users were targeting that. And so it was like the perfect spot to place this new category. So again, just another use case where FullStory was able to aid us in that endeavor. And then so far, the click-through rates have been actually ideal. They're promising. And so I'm looking forward, like once I get back after this conference, seeing like, how it's performing. And I'm assuming like, again, those numbers are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And we've hit on dev teams, we've hit on product teams thinking about both reactive as well as proactive use cases. One of the things that's been really cool to see and that I've really enjoyed working with bees is to see how FullStory has grown and expanded. Tell us about that kind of that path towards maturity and using FullStory and what that's looked like for the organization.
It's very interesting you asked that because after talking with a few people here, their journey on FullStory was a lot different than ours. It seems like almost the opposite. Most of the people that I talked to, it kind of their usage on FullStory or adoption kind of grew from the product and the design and UX team, where for us it really grew from our core dev team. As I mentioned early on, to really monitor crashes, bugs, things of that nature. So from there, we basically had to span out across the rest of the teams. So we really got product on board, showed them the benefits of the platform, and they were very excited. Of course, UI UX. We actually had like our director over that department. He was familiar with FullStory. He's like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is what we need and what we've definitely been looking for. But then it's the usage continued to grow from there to our customer care department, and we initially started just on native mobile. But now, of course, we're branching off into web. And like I said, talking to a lot of you, it was like it's really started from web and maybe went to mobile, but usually it's more web, and we just happen to be more mobile. Then it's usually starting from product, and it just happened to be we're more starting from the dev team. And then like our support team with production issues, FullStory is becoming a major tool that they use when trying to debug. It's almost like the second level. We'll look at our main observability tools, and then the next step is really taking a look at the user sessions in FullStory. So it's grown quite a bit since the early days. Like I said, it's been a multi-year journey. Since that first year, I think we've at least doubled our user base on FullStory, which is great. And then, of course, we're hoping to continue that and expand FullStory across our full suite of apps and products at Bees.
Yeah, it's been really awesome to see. Speaking of the journey and it continuing, I mean, we're not done yet, right? There's a lot in front of us. What are some of the things you're most excited about? What haven't you done yet on FullStory that you're looking forward to?
So Gardner and I mean, we work very closely together. So one of the things we're doing, we're putting together a workshop because one of the biggest, I guess you could say, problems that I want to tackle with FullStory is just automated DX observability. Right now, when it comes to UI, it's either you're doing the instrumentation testing, which can capture some things, but again, with the segmentation, you don't usually capture everything, especially at the production level. But then also, a lot of times, when you discover like UI, UX issues, it's usually a manual process, meaning you find something, or you wait until it hits production, and your users report back, or your stakeholders say, this is not quite right. Where what I want is just automated detection of these a lot sooner, so that we can see the anomalies, we can see any layout issues, we can see any missing text, we can see if there's issues with navigation or CTA placement and things of that nature, and be able to address that a lot sooner. If we can detect that earlier, again, we produce and put out a much, much, much better user experience for our customers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited about it. And we're going to dive in that next few weeks, and I think it's going to be really, really powerful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to that, because that's the case where we just don't have as many eyes right now. Because in traditional observability tools, like, you'll see bugs. You'll see crashes, you'll see performance errors, you'll see things of that nature. But at the UI level, there's nothing that's really detecting that, not in an automated way. And so this is one of those areas where FullStory kind of stands out from other tools.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, a couple of questions to sum up, and then we'll open it up for anyone who has questions for Harold. Hopefully Harold, not me. You can ask me a question too.
No, mostly for Gardner.
We've talked about a lot of different themes, but I mean, for you, how would you sum up kind of the value that you've gotten from FullStory? What really stands out, and what comes top of mind there in terms of value and where you've been able to get quick results?
Mm-hmm. For us, it's really having that extra layer of visibility, because FullStory, it just gave us insight and a peek into just the things we couldn't see before, really understanding how the user interacts with our features as we put new product features out there, how customers engage with it, because sometimes it's not always the way you think. Also, we all understand the rage clicks, but being able to see that, again, that's just an aspect we hadn't seen before. And so knowing where things are not functioning the way that they should, very beneficial to us. But then in addition to that, the other part that's really fantastic is the integration with our existing tools. Like, FullStory is one of the few that you guys have a very broad spectrum of just other SaaS platforms and monitoring software that you interface with. And for us, everything is funneling through Segment. And so being able to have that FullStory integration, see the user session, go through the user replay, but also be able to track it against all the behavior analytics that we're tracking, just the custom tracking events that we've defined. It's super beneficial, like all the way across the board, from product all the way down to, like I said, to our dev and support teams.
Yeah, it's been one of the things that to me, working with B's teams has been fascinating, because a lot of people are starting with, okay, I've got segment event X, Y, Z, I want to follow those through. Mm-hmm. They do that and they set up that criteria in FullStory, and then they see something that's not in Segment, and they say, whoa, now I can get that too. I had no idea this was happening.
Exactly.
Right? And then that spurs a whole extra kind of leg of the analysis that often yields better results.
Yeah, and then the thing about it, it's that two-way integration, because as we're querying data in Segment, and again, we'll use Amplitude for that. And so we're pulling up and we're querying all of this analytics data. As we're querying, guess what? There's a link back to that FullStory session. And so, we can leverage both tools to really give us a clear picture on our users' behavior.
Yeah. So what would you recommend for people here? What do you want to leave them with, and your recommendation for what they should do?
I would, if there's one recommendation, of course, it's to use FullStory. But it's very beneficial. Like I said, with the tool integration and just the offering of all the other platforms that you guys support, very beneficial. Also, in terms of mobile, the integration is very simplistic. There's not a lot that you have to do. But then the other piece that's real beneficial is we understand the masking that comes with FullStory, but being able to customize that even at the mobile level, where you can hide certain things, obfuscate the screens that you want to be hidden if there's anything like personal information. But then if you really want to highlight the product screens and then see all the information that's being shown there and make sure it's shown properly and see what the user is seeing. Again, highly beneficial, something that we can't get with other tools.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Harold. Really appreciate going through our set of questions today. Who has questions for Harold?
Yeah. I think he was first. Okay.
One of the challenges I'm having at Chipotle is with our app measurement, particularly Android. So I'm wondering how you are capturing such robust information. Is it primarily through custom event pushes, or are you adding data attributes into the app? How are you actually getting that data?
Sure.
Can you repeat it? I couldn't quite hear.
I'll repeat it. So,
okay.
Question is Android app measurement. How are you getting that data through? Is it custom events? Is it segment? What's kind of the main way of getting that data in for measurement purposes?
Yeah, we're really strict. We have like 5 selectors, and that's too broad. So
Gotcha.
I'm looking for ideas on how to decorate the code with additional attributes or event.
Gotcha. So struggling with having really just a few generic selectors to work with, and then needing more of that detail in there.
That's a good question. For us, we went more broad, I guess you could say. And so we really leverage the custom events. With the segment integration, our events are pretty robust on the experience, but in terms of just overall monitoring, again, we tie that back into New Relic. And they have their set of core essential metrics that we are leveraging. And so basically we use that to really tie into the monitoring that we have for our mobile apps. And then again, couple that with the session replay that we can see within FullStory. That's mainly what we're doing right now. But we are looking at other ways to, other options and other things that we may want to start monitoring. Like the biggest thing for us is really making sure we have accurate TTI and AppDex reporting for our mobile apps. And we're really focusing on those two, along with memory consumption, because that's something that you tend to lose sight of, but being able to detect that's really huge for us, just because we have such a large customer base all the time, and we have to make sure we keep that uptime. And since we support very old devices, we only recently raised our minimum OS from like 5.0 and iOS 12. Supporting devices that far back, we have to make sure we keep an eye on the memory consumption. But that's kind of where we are right now. But we're really using those essential APM metrics to really power what we're monitoring.
Any other questions?
Can you talk more about observation and automation?
Sure. So the question is, talk more about observation and automation, our plans for what's next, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in terms of, well, like I said, I think we have enough observation tools that's in place. Like FullStory covers the gap between segment, New Relic. We also have a couple other tools that we're leveraging in terms of AppBot for things like user reviews in the app stores and things like that. So it's really, the automation piece is making sure that we get that information and present it in a usable way to our product leaders, to our stakeholders. And so that's where the automation comes in for us. So like I said, we're looking to automatically detect any UI issues. We're already leveraging, of course, reporting on AppDex and other performance features. But then in addition to that, we're looking to automate those app reviews, pulling that out, presenting a dashboard so we understand where our ratings are. If we see a drop from, say, 4.5 to 4.2, again, we can have a dashboard and detection around that. So for us, the automation focus is really on that, just making sure we can get that information in an automated way, provide dashboards and alerts where we need.
Yeah, and I'll jump in there too, because I think a lot of what, definitely, what you're talking about, and I think to add on, I think a lot of the gap, right, is that, okay, well maybe, we can see, right, when our checkouts are going down, we can see when certain, or like when known errors are spiking, right? That's something we know today. What we don't know is when people are clicking things, like if a CTA changes, right? If your UX changes, and that's throwing off the overall user experience, what we're not doing yet is seeing, okay, well, it used to be 3 clicks to get from product recommendation to delivery date. Now it's 7 clicks, right? Let's know that it went from 3 to 7 so that we can get ahead of it before the customer starts saying, this is so hard to use. This is, your CSAT scores start going down. We can know the next day
Exactly.
that went up. We can know time that it takes to go from X to Y to Z. We can see if that's going up or down. Does that match our expectations or not? And so there are a lot of these things that are related to overall usability, effectiveness of using the application, that sometimes are unintended consequences with a new release. But if we've got those metrics front and center, we're looking at them day to day, we're going to know before we get the customer complaints and before a lot of these metrics start dropping.
Exactly. Yeah. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Any last questions? We have time for one more. Awesome. Why don't we give Gardner and Harold another round of applause. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. It's been a pleasure being here.